Hello, Emily Fight. I don't know, Emily, I can't hear you if you're speaking. Hey, Emily, I can't hear you. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, you can. Hey, Sandra. We're figuring out audio stuff. I can't hear Emily.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're good. Can you hear me?
Oh, I got it. There you go.
Okay. This is why it's good. We're gonna do all this.
I gotta figure out the background thing now.
Oh, it's super easy. I mean, if you can't do it too, it's not a big deal, but you go into your Zoom settings and it's background, and then yeah, it'll just apply it. Okay, and we are being recorded, by the way. Did it notify you when you? Okay, so we'll have to edit all this part out.
It was weird because it was like not letting me unmute. So I don't know if you changed a setting or it just like needed a sec to load, but
I think it needed a sec because I haven't changed anything on my end. I am like triple backing up because I have the presentations on that folder, and then I'm also pulling them up on a PDF on my end, so that like I think we'll be fine. I mean, I'm hoping that like everyone's tested it on their end, but just wanting to mitigate that if like something goes down and we've got to,
Okay, cool. I'm changing my background now, so we're good.
And we also, like, if we're end up talking for a few, I mean, they can come in like 6 minutes early, 5 minutes early, I think. So we won't have any students early until then. But it won't be a big deal if we're like still trying to figure stuff out in the background.
Okay.
If there's any issues.
The backgrounds always look funny when you have curly frizzy hair because it makes your head look like you're like curved out. Sandra has a nice straight line on her hair.
All the frizz is gone.
Frizz is straightened out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Peter. Oh, go ahead, Sandra. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, sorry, I had to jump earlier. I was at a client,
no worries.
So I had to jump off the end.
I know. I also just want to acknowledge that I feel like my brain goes like a mile a minute, and so I think this week in particular, like lots of messages, emails late at night, changing like the calendar of like, oh, we gotta remember.
You're doing great. This is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I think we'll need like we should just like take the year off. I don't know. We'll have to recap. We should test out actually. So I'm waiting for Emily Wright to get on, or Claire, because of the host thing. But I want to check. Can one of you? So let me see if I do share screen. I've got like a million things open. Does this? Are you all seeing my? Well, you're probably seeing my calendar. Are you seeing what I'm sharing?
Yes.
So it's showing like the elevate, all of that.
Yep.
Okay. Then that's good. So then I won't, okay, and I can move this, it looks like, so you can kind of move that around. So I think then let's try next. Let's have one of you see if you can grab the screen share, because we're gonna have the emerging professionals, they'll drive themselves. So I want to see that.
Ooh, how do you do that in here?
You go to share screen. So I'll try, Peter.
Okay, yeah.
Let me
I don't have that option in mine.
Mine's at the bottom. by chat and record.
Oh, there it is. Yep. It just popped up.
Are you guys seeing my Teams?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
I am. Okay, cool. So you can grab it.
Yep.
And no one's been made a host. Okay, so I think we'll actually be okay from the like host thing. But when Emily or when Claire comes on, there's like I have to put a host key in. Is that what's asking? So I'll just do that. If
Okay.
Hey Eve, we can't hear you, but you might be on mute.
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you now.
You don't look like a chipmunk, by the way.
Yeah, you look great.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Do you feel
I didn't
good?
even remember.
How do you feel? That's the real question.
I can't eat normal people food, but pretty good.
That's good.
Did you notice how we're all matching?
Oh, that's really funny.
I'll take off my.
Then me and Eve are matching.
Oh my God. We're coordinating.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Even to like the background color, it looks good.
Yeah,
I know. I'm digging this. Like it feels like we're really polished with this. Hey Fi, hey Amelia. We're just laughing because we like color coordinated with the background by not intentionally doing that. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yeah, I just joined. Hey.
Hey Amelia.
You guys are matching.
Yes. We're just saying that. We're all one thing I was gonna say, everyone should change your name to either organizer or presenter, because I think that will help students identify you. And you can also add your pronouns if you want. I know sometimes titles get kind of long, but I would do that. I just put it so that way they can kind of like in the list filter that pretty easily.
Hey.
Forget, can I do that in the participants section?
Yeah, so if you go yeah,
just
to the right.
I was just about to say, where is it?
There you go.
Peter, am I an organizer? I don't think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, you are an organizer.
I know, just kidding.
You can put yourself as a student. You can
Blending in.
I was telling them, so students won't be able to join till like 3:54. So we have a couple minutes and we just tested screen sharing, but why don't we go ahead and just check you all just really quick that you can share and you should be able to, but it would be good to double check that while we're kind of waiting. So Amelia or Fi or Tara, either one of you can just grab it and pull up your deck. I've got them as backups as a PDF, but we'll let you all will be driving. So
yeah, you can go
let
first.
us setting something first. We need to turn off our notification so people.
Oh, okay, I'll share first. Just double check.
Sorry about that. Let's see.
No worries.
Does that look okay?
Yeah, no, that looks good, and it's like full screen and all that. So yeah, and you can advance and everything. It's like driving. Okay, cool.
Okay, great. And is it okay I put organizer or should I put like presenter?
You can put, I would think that you're a presenter, we're organizer, but it's not that big of a. It's just like I think it's just helpful for them to kind of see that like we're the people either talking or helping with the event.
Smart.
It's not, yeah. Fi, and you are you're like kind of ghosting.
I know. It doesn't like that there's two of us on one screen.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say if it's the background issue, you could also take it off if that helps, but it sounds like maybe it's because there's two of you.
I think it's because of that, because it just keeps facing
in
and out of the like screen right now, and now it doesn't like her.
Yeah, we just turn the background off.
This one goes.
You're literally ghosting us.
Yeah, it literally does. Let me share it real quick.
Okay, I'm seeing your website, but is that?
Let's see. We are dragging it over. There we go.
Okay.
Full screen mode. Can you guys see this now?
Yeah, we're good.
Yes, perfect. Yep.
Okay.
And then if we escape out, then it can go to that. Perfect. Okay. Let me.
Okay, we're good on that end.
Start doing that. Yeah, let's see if I could.
I don't know too if you have a second computer, but you might it might help
It
if
might
you join.
echo for us.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and she doesn't have camera on her computer too. I don't know if our background is better. It's blue.
I wonder too, are you gonna like tag team the presenting? Because I was gonna say if it's kind of separated, like one of you could like sit more on camera and then the other could like switch back. Oh wait, okay, that's better, right? Like say something or like move. It doesn't.
No, it's just the version.
Okay, yeah. I would just do that. That's better. We'd rather have you be alive than be a ghost.
That sounds good. Okay. Yeah, we gonna do basically I go first for myself, and then Tara will introduce herself, and after that for our company we'll just together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we're just waiting for Lindsay, but we still have a few minutes. Something that we decided that I think was clear, but it probably wasn't because there's been a million things that we've tried to get out there. So we'll have all of you. So Lindsay will start, and then I think you're next, right?
Yeah,
and then Tara.
Amelia.
And then Amelia. And you all will go through, just run through your deck. Like we're not going to stop in the middle for questions. Emily will be leading this session. I think you already knew that, but like all of us will kind of serve as like a little bit of a time check. I think if you go past 10 minutes, we might just like raise our hand just to kind of like, so that way we still stay around that like 40 to 45 minute mark. And what we're going to do, because it's such a large group. So we have like, 80, I think, registered for part one. So we have a lot of students.
Wow.
So we're gonna tell them to this was a tip from Sandra, but we're gonna actually have them do cameras off because of kind of the bandwidth on this end. I mean, they can if they want to, but we'll tell them to do cameras off if they can. And then what we'll do is we'll say, as if you have a question about something, like as they're presenting, stick it in the chat, and then we'll use the chat function to kind of monitor and help with the questions, especially if we get some of them that are like the same kind of question, or if they're to a specific panelist. We'll say that too, like if you have a question for a specific panelist, like put their name and then the question, so that way we can kind of manage that. And I think that will help with just the flow. And then we also have to have people off mute, and all of that, and then they tend to ramble, and so I think that'll be our way to navigate that. I see a Ruthie's iPhone. I assume that's you, Lindsay, but it could be someone else that somehow is illegally into this meeting early.
Peter, also just heads up, I joined at 3:30, which I think might have started the recording at 3:30. So there might be like a 10-minute gap. So apologies for that.
Well, the funny part too is our recording from last year, if you ever watch, like we didn't edit it at all. So it's like super long, and there's like big gaps where like no one's so I think we'll be okay. I'm not too worried about. Okay, I'm gonna close all my other browsers so I don't.
The other piece of it is that it's not unlisted on YouTube, so people can just watch our lovely video.
Yeah, they can see all the glorious stuff that
we'll be trending before long.
Well, it's such a beast. I mean, if someone watches that for like 4 hours, I give them credit. Ruthie's iPhone, I would love to know who that is. It's a great name.
Peter, did you want me to introduce everyone in the beginning, or let them introduce themselves as they present, since they're doing that anyways?
Yeah, no, I think you just talk about what this kind of event is on, which is like emerging professionals. They have their own introduction here.
Cool.
So
I got the order up, so.
Will you just time code me and Tara into combined?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll just try to be like, I don't want to be super strict, but I do want to just make sure that we can get.
Okay,
hey,
perfect.
Claire.
Look like a lot of people are joining.
We're just kind of talking in the background. Hey, we might have a couple students on. We're just we're kind of figuring a few things out. We'll get started here shortly. Claire, it's asking me for a host code. Is there anything that I need to know on that? We just tried out screen sharing and it didn't impact anything, but I don't know if there's anything, like if I should put in that host key code.
Let's see, I'm in our web thing. Let me go to it. See if I can find out what that information is, just so you have it anyway.
Okay.
doesn't show a host code, but let's see. I'm gonna click around here for a moment.
Okay.
Here's the details. Yeah, I think you should, if I recall, I think you should be fine because I don't think I like limited hosting to when we initially set it up.
I think we're okay because we just tried screen sharing and all of that.
Okay.
So I think and it's recording, so we're all set there.
Perfect.
I'm hoping to see Lindsay just because she's our first one, but we will have a little deck at the beginning. I think I said that, so I will kick us off officially. We'll probably wait just because we have a really large group. We'll wait till about 5 after, and then I will start and we will go. I think what I'm going to do in the meantime is I will do the screen share and get the title slide up.
Oh, here, Peter, I found a host code just in case you need it. I'm going to text it to you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was like, I can't type right now.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds the best bet, just so you have it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Okay, thanks. Okay, that should be simpler than it is. Okay. Okay. Hello, oh, excuse me. Can folks see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're good. Hey everyone, we're excited to see people start to trickle in. We are going to get started about 5 after the hour. So in the meantime, if you wouldn't mind, just maybe drop your school and your state into the chat and we'll get started here in a few minutes. We're super excited to have you all for this event.
So cool, seeing people from all over.
Yeah, awesome. We've got Washington represented, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Portland, Oregon. I mean, yeah, so sweet. Thanks, everyone. We're getting more people in here. Just if you are joining us, we'll start just about 5 after the hour, and stick your school and your state in the chat, and we'll get going here. We got New Jersey, we got another Colorado. This is exciting. Hey everyone, if you're joining us, we're super excited to have you. We're going to start about 5 after the hour. So feel free to get settled in. You can stay cameras off. That's totally cool. And drop your school and your state in the chat. We're kind of seeing where everyone is tuning in from. Cool. We got a Utah participant tuning in. Excited to have you here. We have someone that's online at a school in Colorado, but they're in Utah. Sweet. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. We're excited. We see this number going up and up, which is great. If you haven't already, drop your school and your state in the chat. We've got some really cool places. We got East Coast, we got lots of West Coast, we got New Jersey, Colorado, Virginia, Portland. Super excited to see where everyone is from. We got Texas. Sweet, that's a new one. Love that. Let's see if we hit all 50 states. Anyone keeping track? We got someone from Seattle up in Washington. Awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got someone that's in Nevada, but they're also at a school. Is it RMCAD? Is that Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design? I think I'm saying that right, but hopefully, please correct me if I'm not. Excited, glad to have you here. I know it's different time zones for everyone. So for some people, this is afternoon. For some people, this is like late after dinner. So thanks for coming. We'll give it 2 or 3 more minutes here. If you haven't already, jump in the chat and put your name and your college, or not your name and your college, your state and your college. We're excited to have people from a bunch of different places here joining for this event. Oh my gosh, we got someone in Australia. Okay, I think that tops the distance one. I don't know if we've seen something from that far. Awesome. Welcome, Rebecca. We're glad to have you here. Everyone grab a drink too, get a snack, get settled in here. We'll start. We'll give it just 2 more minutes as we let a few more students trickle in. Okay, we got someone else at the RMCAD. They live in Arizona. We got someone in New Mexico. I think we've gotten almost all the Western states here. This is awesome. Super exciting. We'll give it just one more minute and then we will kick it off. And we got someone living in Florida. I love it. Florida's representing. Good to have you. Good to have you here. Okay, well, we'll get started here. We might have other students trickle in. If you're new and you haven't already, just drop your school and your state in the chat. We're super excited to have you all here joining us on this Friday afternoon evening. So welcome to Elevate, an IIDA Student Symposium. We are super thrilled you're here, and I'm going to go to the next slide. So my name is Peter Harrison. I am a commercial interior designer at the firm Gensler, and I work at our Portland office in Portland, Oregon. And we have a really amazing team that's helped put this event on for you all. We have myself as VP of Student Affairs for IIDA Oregon. We also have Sandra, who's a director, as well as Eve, a director, and then Emily, who is also a director. So we are great point people for you during this event. If you have questions or things or need help kind of navigating, we'll have the kind of word organizer next to our names in the chat. So feel free to ping us directly if you need help with anything. But we're the organizing team for this. We also are really excited because we have some students that helped with the planning and the organization of this. So we have Abigail, who's a student at George Fox University here in Oregon, as well as Rachel, a student at the University of Oregon, as well as Stephanie, who is a student at Oregon State University. So we're super excited and grateful to have all of us on this planning team put this event together for you all, the Student Symposium. So with that, I'll kind of just give you a couple little things about where we are and where we're going. We are part of IIDA, which is the International Interior Design Association. So we are the organization that represents commercial interior designers and industry partners. We are putting on this event from the IIDA Oregon chapter, but what's really great is that IIDA has a lot of chapters. So wherever you are in school or wherever you are living, there is a IIDA chapter, except I'm not sure about Australia. We'll have to see. I think there's an international chapter, but there's some really great chapters where you live locally that do different events and including student events. So please reach out to us if you want help connecting to those chapters. But you can kind of see on my screen here, we've got a really great cross-section of places that have IIDA chapters that you can participate in as a student and as a professional. So I want to kind of set the agenda for what we're going to be jumping into today, which this first session is emerging professionals, and Emily will kind of walk us through what that is and who those people are. We'll take a little break after that session. The session will be about an hour and a half. We'll take a little 5 or so minute break, and then the second session will be one in portfolios, and my colleague Sandra will be leading that. So that is what we're in tune for this first part. That's this afternoon, evening. And then if you haven't signed up already, we can drop it in the chat, but the link to the second part. So there's a second part that's happening tomorrow. It starts at 10 a.m. Pacific. So do the conversion there if you're in a different time zone. But we're excited because we're going to have a really great discussion with contractors, kind of getting their perspective on getting projects built and that collaborative process. And then we'll take a little break tomorrow, and then we'll end with a really great session on compensation and negotiation and careers and internship stuff and all of that really great things that will be relevant for you all. So with that, there's just a few kind of key things that I want us to all remember and think about today. So ask questions. We're going to have some different presenters. If you have a question, drop it in the chat and specify if it's to a specific panelist, put their name, or if it's to the whole panel, put their name. That will help us kind of direct and monitor that. So we'll let them all present, and then we'll have a decent amount of time at the end for some Q&A and some discussion. You can all stay cameras off. Don't worry about being camera on. That's okay. And we will have that little break in between the session. But if you need to go to the bathroom, grab a drink, do anything, feel free to just step away as needed. We're going to record these sessions so that you can listen to them back afterwards. And then the other third thing I would say is just connect with all of us as organizers, adding us on LinkedIn, emailing us, the same with the panelists, and tapping into your local IAJ, and we can help you with that a little bit if you're kind of unsure where you can connect. And then the last is just stay curious. We're going to have some different perspectives shared here in this presentation. So ask questions, stay curious, and really, practice the skill of asking for what you need in your program, your design program, as well as when you land an internship or a job. Those are some things to remember. So with that, I will turn it over to Emily, who will kick us off for our first event.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Hi, y'all. We're very happy to have you all here. This is the joy of a virtual event as we get to connect with people from all over the world, which is so cool. So we have 4 presenters for our Emerging Professionals panel. Lindsay from Truth on the Wind, Fi and Tara from Melange Design Co., and then Amelia from Project 202. And as we have them present, I will let you tell them a little bit more about themselves. As Peter said, I'm a director of IDA on the Oregon chapter, student affairs team. My pronouns are she, her. I graduated in 2020 from the University of Oregon, and I'm currently an interior designer at Ingram Moyson here in Portland, Oregon. As Peter said, feel free to reach out and ping us individually on Zoom if you need anything. Otherwise, I think I'm going to let Lindsay take it away, and we'll be moderating Q&A at the end of the session, but feel free to drop in questions in the chat throughout as you think of them. Make sure to direct your questions to a specific presenter if you have them, and we'll keep those on. All right, Lindsay.
All right. Hi, everybody. Let me get ready to share my screen. And I'm going to do my best to stay within the time limit, but I'm so excited. Of course, I have lots to say. But yes, hi, everybody. My name is Lindsay Bedford. I use she, her pronouns, and I am joining you today from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm really excited to be here to share my design journey because I think my journey is a little different for someone who studied interior design in school. But really, my focus is on showing the value of your design education and how a design education can be applied to so many different areas of being a professional. And of course, I'm always happy to connect. I put my Instagram handle, my email, and my website where you can find me. Just really quick, a little background on myself. Currently, I am a designer, an artist, and I am the director of marketing and communications at Fringe Arts. If you're familiar with the Fringe Festival, which happens all around the world, Fringe Arts is a nonprofit in Philadelphia who puts on Philadelphia's Fringe Festival and lots of other exciting programming year-round. So, all right, let me get into it. So, the beginning of my design journey. This began at Drexel University, where I graduated from. I have a Master of Science in Interior Architecture and Design. And as you can see from my face and hair and outfits in these photos, it was rough at first. We all know that design school can be very challenging, but also really exciting. So yes, my beginnings in design school were not so easy. I was coming from a different background. I was a non-traditional student. which meant I was a little older. When I went back to school, I did a degree in writing and history, and I was working in e-commerce doing marketing writing. So learning design thinking was very different and very difficult at first. But then eventually, I found what I loved about design. And I realized the things that I really gravitated towards were community-focused design, working as a part of a team. I love collaborating. I love working with others. And also, I found that I really loved conceptual design and art and installations in particular. Eventually, I found my stride and things were really starting to look up. As you can see, not only were my projects, but I was looking better at my final presentations, which was good because we all know how those all-nighters can go. I also was really enjoying beginning to build my network in the interior design community. I had an internship at an architecture and design firm, which I really loved. And I was able to make a lot of professional connections really early on. And also, one of the connections I was able to make is Peter at the IIDA Shift Conference in Texas. And that was really cool because as a student coming from Philadelphia, most of the students were coming from the South, West, not where I was from. So it was just another really exciting opportunity and a valuable opportunity that IIDA provided me with to continue to network and grow and meet other design professionals. But then everything changed. Shortly after I went to Shift, the pandemic hit. And as we all know, that meant going to school virtually via Zoom. And what had become a space where I was really, finding my stride, like I said, and falling in love with design, it became challenging again because, as we all know, school on Zoom is not really fun and it's not the best way to practice design. But other things were happening as well. Also during that time, there was a lot of racial injustice happening in our country. And to be honest, it felt kind of like everything was just falling apart around me. And it was just very challenging. But also during this time, especially during that time, I had to begin my thesis work. I went to a 3-year program and we had to do a graduate thesis to graduate. So when I was given the opportunity to design any kind of space I wanted, I thought to myself, wow, I was thinking back to my initial educational background with writing and history. And at that time, I had dreamed of being a museum curator. But to be honest, that didn't happen. And I thought to myself, wow, maybe this is my one and only chance to do something with museums and art. So let me do it here. So I decided to design what I thought could be the model for the art museum of the 21st century. And again, I found that it made sense for me to follow my heart and my intuition. Throughout the thesis process, and this was a year-long journey my classmates and I took, time and time again, kind of like how I felt throughout my design career at Drexel, I felt different. I felt like my focus was different from my classmates, and I wanted to do something more. I knew what I was making was obviously a design-focused thesis, but I was really interested in thinking about how what I created could change this institution, the museums and art museums in particular, with design solutions. So again, I decided to go back to the things I realized I really loved at school, which was community-focused design, art, installations, and I made a thesis that turned out really, really well. it turned out so well that I was able to submit that work to Mural Arts. For those of you who are not familiar with Mural Arts, it is a nonprofit in Philadelphia. We are the nation's largest public art program, and we were also just featured on Abbott Elementary like a week or so ago, which is awesome. So now I feel even more excited to be a part of that program. But I submitted my thesis work there, and I was accepted into their Fellowship for Black Artists program. This was shortly before I graduated. I also successfully graduated, yay. And also, it's funny how things work out. When the pandemic hit, that architecture firm that I loved working at had to let all of the interns go. And, you know, some months later, around the beginning of the summer, they reached out to me and said, hey, Lindsay, didn't you do like social media work before you went to school? And I said, yeah, I did. They said, well, that team could really use a hand if you're available. And being unemployed, I said, absolutely. But I found that I actually really loved that work. And I was able to be really effective in a way that my other teammates weren't, because I was trained in design thinking. And I was able to share the stories and the projects of the firm I was working at in a much more authentic way than others had been previously. And I was also able to work with those in the studio more effectively because we spoke the same language, the language of design. So it was really cool to be able to find this opportunity to, you know, use my past experience with this new experience I had at school. And then also in the background, I was starting to do some projects with Mural Arts. So that leads me to where I'm at today. Since I graduated, I have completed 3 public art projects in Philadelphia. I have another one I'm wrapping up soon, and I am approached regularly to do others, which are really exciting. I won't go into too much detail, but on the far right was my first project. And I always try to bring design thinking into my artistic practice. This was a procession. I love the idea of procession in school, and I made a procession of visually exaggerated rose petals in a public art space in Philadelphia. In the bottom center, I was one of 4 artists chosen to design a door that was used in free public performances by the Philadelphia Ballet. Above that, I was one of 3 artists selected to create designs for signs as part of a community revitalization project with positive affirmations for the Black community in West Philadelphia. And still, I'm able to do things with museums that I love. On the left, I serve on a board for the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and we're actually a group of design professionals that help with the museum's modern design acquisitions. So long story short, and I already know I'm over time, you can do so much with your design degree. No, I do not practice interior design in the same way as my classmates, but all of my art projects are informed by design thinking. In my day-to-day as a marketing professional, I'm a stronger professional there because I know graphic design thinking from being in an interior design program. And just being able to think creatively and out of the box. And also in design school, we're really regimented. We work hard and people respect that, and it works well in a really any profession. So long story short, I think it's okay to be different and believe in yourself and the things you're excited about in school. And design has a lot of opportunities. So yeah, thank you.
Yay, Lindsay. Thank you. That was great. Really exciting. And I was already planning to watch that episode of Abbott Elementary after this evening. So I'm excited to see that. Very cool. Awesome. One thing I forgot to mention as well, everyone, is that we did select these 4 emerging professionals with the thought that we wanted to share some kind of unique, possibly unconventional, you might say, paths that you can do with your design education. So that will take us to our next 2 presenters, Fi and Tara from Melange Design Co. You two are up.
Thank you so much, Emily, and thank you everyone for having us here today. Let's get this up. Fun technology bits. Okay. Let's say my name is Fi, and this is Tara. We are co-owner of Melange Design Co. I want to start off the presentation with this quote: "Teacher affect eternity. They can never tell where their influence stops." Without meeting any of my teacher or professor, I would not have chosen the career path that I have today or imagined that is possible. To just kind of give you guys a background of like how I and Tara get here today. So why did I choose interior design to go into? The class that I took in high school when I was living in New Zealand was graphic design class, and the teacher, he's an architect, but he teaches interior design, architect, product design, and it just made me realize that like this is the career path I really want to take. I want to be both interior designer and architect, and I can see that everything just intermingled together. This led me to come to Utah State University to study the interior design program and graduate in 2019. During that time, I was part of all student member for IDA, ASID, and USUBC. Like I'm doing bingo, but every part of student chapter was very, very rewarding. I get to meet Peter there. And I like every organization event have create opportunity to meet connections with professionals and also vendors. That is very useful now that I am a business owner myself. And during that time, I did participate couple of design competition that came from these organizations, which is Durkin competition and Downtown competition, and was able to be a scholarship recipient. And those money are really saving my life. And I would recommend you guys to take any opportunity you guys get in school. For me, I feel like those competition an outlet for design, express yourself while you're in school. During school, I took the LEED Green Associate credential. I would say it's very valuable, especially if you want to get involved with sustainable design. And you should update every 2 years. Me and Tara are still updating, even though we are not architect or officially a commercial firm, but we have tried to use these principles throughout our design. And take as much opportunity for all that you can get while you're in school. I was doing draftsman for a designer. I was doing graphic designer for office research, and I did go for internship. And all of that really, really helped shape me to feel like I'm prepared for jumping to the next step of being in this career path. Currently, I'm a co-owner of Melange Design Co. I also work at Carpets of America as a flooring retail. That's my secondary income. And also going for a Master of Business Administration at Utah State University. So it seemed like I have a lot. Why MBA? Tara have been my clutch and balance partnership. I always go head first, and she is my brake, basically. Yes. And it was a prompt from our sponsor. We were talking about our business, and I told him that as a business owner, I felt like there's never enough information. We felt like we learned so much in school, but there were never enough that I feel competent to do this. And he said that, how about you take an entrepreneurship class? That's the only problem. But I call up university, look for options, and I landed with MBA, Utah State. And that is because these courses that they offer, the learning about supply chain management, leadership, global business strategy, sales management, data analytic, marketing, and finance. As a small business owner, you wear a lot of hats. And I do really like learning, and I do just love to get these knowledge to do. And I'm only in for 2 semesters right now. So I just started in July 2022. And there is not a single course that I felt is not apply to what we are doing at all. So I'm going to turn it to Tara.
Yes. So my name's Tara. But I'm going to tell you like kind of what inspired me to become an interior designer. When I was little, me and my parents would go to like all these little like home shows, and like I was like literally a toddler, and we'd walk through the houses, and both my parents were really critical of the houses. They'd be like, oh, like the kitchen is like so far from the garage, and why is the like laundry on the in the basement, and like all the rooms are on the second floor. Like, so like doing that really, like from a young age, I was like, oh, there's so many problems in people's houses and I can fix them. And like, you know, there's all these like design things that I was going through, and I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And like around that same time, I also started like being artistic and like being really creative and like fueling that fire in me. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. So I was like really young, that's what I wanted to do. And then my dad came in because I was like pretty okay at math and stuff like that. So he was like, oh, you should be an engineer, like 100%. And he's like, you know, I guess like applaud him for like women in STEM, you know, but like it wasn't like truly like a passion of mine. And so like all through like high school and stuff, I took like engineering classes, and then did an internship for engineering right before I went to college, and I hated it. Like I felt like I was just stuck in this little white room, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like people wouldn't talk to me. Like it was just like creatively draining. And so then like the first day of college, I switched my major to go into interior design. And like I love interior design so much. Like I get like a little bit of that like problem solving and stuff from interior design that like I guess I would have going into engineering, but like I actually feel like I get to make art pieces that are like livable spaces for people and like solve and make people's lives better through doing interior design. So this is kind of how I got there. I graduated from USU in 2021. My degree is in interior architecture and design, and I minored in fine arts. I also got my LEED Green Associate exam, and that like it's so much easier to just renew that if you do have it than trying to retake it. So I'm glad that I've kept that up. While I was in school, I interned at a firm in Los Angeles called Etc. They did like high-end residential designs for like celebrities and like, you know, all these famous people and stuff. But then in 2020, me and Phi started Melange. Then in 2021, I started with a local interior designer down in Salt Lake. So she's about an hour away from where we are. And then she does work about like a half an hour away from that. But it's up there in Park City. She's a high-end residential, but that's my supplemental income. I just work there once a week, but having that has been super, super helpful to me.
So how Melange Design Co. is created. We both met in Utah State University as classmates, and we bond over this project called Tiny House. It is torturous. We stay up all night. You bond a lot with your friend in the studio, and I was very intimidated for Tara at first, and Tara saw me as a teacher pet because I always sit in the front.
She was in the front, I was in the back.
Yep. And we actually found that we have a lot in common. And after we graduate on the night that, actually that is August 28, 2020, our friend from Senegal is going home, and we dropped her off at Salt Lake City Airport already, and Tara had went home. She lived in Lathan, and me and our other partner were driving home through the Logan Canyon. It was 11 p.m. and me and her were just chatting about, and was like, I have a mentor that probably could mentor us and help us like create a business and help us like make sure that like we go in the right path. She'd have connection, and she's on her way for retirement. She potentially could funneling her clientele to us. And when I hear that, I was like, oh my God, let's call Tara. And we got Tara on the phone. We talked about it the whole ride home. And the next thing we do, we made up with our mentor, got our business idea going, create a business plan, naming brainstorm. At first, the company can call Neek Studio because we all from different background. And we really want to emphasize that, like, we want to celebrate the differences. And we found out that the word Neek means F word in French, and we cut that. We like that. Oh, really, maybe quickly. So it rebrand to Melange. Melange mean medley or mixture. So it is like, it just describes us so well. We are a mix of everything. We are versatile and adaptable people, that we don't believe in conform. I guess like we don't believe anyone need to conform to us. Like we only like certain style and client need to be that way. We believe that we should shape to what they are. Everyone have their own unique solution. And then we go through the all business registration with state of Utah, IRS, web domain, web creation. We design it all. We did graphic design ourselves. We both have really good graphic design present.
She's better.
And then the hard part is to present this to the bank and get the first business loan. It was very intimidating, but we got it. And then we create Melange's kind of September 5th, 2020. We got the money, got approval, scout for space, secured a space, in order inventory, remodel. We did a remodel ourselves, installed a wallpaper. We have painter. We don't trust ourselves in that part. We're not that great. And then we salvage as much as we can in the existing space to use to minimize what we need to spend. And then we opened for business December 12, 2020. So it's been 2 year-ish. We still baby.
Yeah. So a little bit of like how we're starting to get clients, since we're like really new and stuff. When we first kind of started, like our main thing was like, we'll have a retail shop, get people coming in for the retail, they enjoy our retail, and then, you know, they'll remember us when they're like, oh, I need a designer now. And we do really enjoy the side of retail, you know, picking things out. And that was a great way for like people to get to know us and kind of like our style and stuff like that. So that has been a good tool. Probably our main tool has been relationships and like networking, being able to like, you know, have relationships with builders and like, you know, past clients telling their friends and stuff like that. That has been like probably our biggest way of getting new relationships. Like that's a huge key. And we also have like a little bit less now, but we, you know, try to post a lot to social media and getting engagement through that, you know, not just our work, but other people's work. And we also have an ad in a magazine that we do every month to try and generate some like we try to get to like a different clientele than we move to social media. Like we get people with like disposable income, you know, the magazine only goes to people with who are homeowners and have, you know, in a certain like tax bracket basically.
one thing that we really want to talk about this is partnership. We can't build this just one of us. I would not see this possible at all. We used to have 3 partners and now it's just 2. And one lesson that we really want you guys to know is that not all friendship can withstand the hardship of business partner. I especially came to realizations that even though I see potential in anyone, not everyone ready to grow themselves. Another thing that you want to, in partnership, recognize talents, recognize your strength, see how other people's strength that can help you, diversify your team. Everyone is unique and use that to the advantages. And I have learned recently in leadership class, like not everyone, there is like 33 threads of strengths and 1 in 300 millions are the same. So really, really utilize that. Not all of us are the same.
Another thing that's been huge is like having open communication, recognizing that like your number one thing is your friendship and your, you know, like your business comes second to your friendship. We always, you know, and we all have the same goal, you know, we all want the company to do well, and getting there, you know, we might always come at it from different ways, but we always recognize that our goal is always the same. And like trying to balance work too has been hard, you know, like you can't take on all the responsibilities. That's been a big thing, like switching from like friends that were at school to like business partners. Is like at school you can only depend on yourself. Like learning to like have those responsibilities shared has been super, super helpful. And then I think a big thing too is like being able to separate that friend time and having like business time, knowing like, okay, like we're talking about business, this is what we're doing, and then also having those moments where you can remember that you're friends and like connect on things and like really like feed that relationship.
Minimize blaming, help solve problem instead of keep blaming like, oh, you did this, that's your fault. No, this is your business, we both are responsible. Recognize improvement. That has been the biggest thing, because like when you surrounded, like when you start a business, you're surrounded by so many issues. It's really easy to go into negative space, and recognizing those positive things. Like for example, I'm gonna throw Tara under the bus here. She's always late.
Oh yeah.
I will tell her, see, you made it on time today. See, Tara, you are 5 minutes early. Like those little things, people appreciate it. And like for her, like for me, I tend to take all the things to myself, like stress to myself, and she knows that. And those little things that you recognize really, really help improve relationship, open communication, but also seeing that everyone deserves a thank you and seeing their value and contribution. Next thing that you really, really want to have when you're opening your business is accountant. They keep your finance organized and then help you understand the business from financial perspective. It's really good for making business decision, big or small, like investment, loan, or even like, should I purchase this inventory? Is this like a good thing? Or because sometimes when you purchase things, then you have to buy in bulk, and it's like, is that worth it? Those are really good. Evaluate your business performance. Are you negative? Are you positive? And then they really have good knowledge of laws and regulation. And the way we found our accountant actually through our sponsor recommendation, and he has been wonderful.
So part of us not going like your traditional route and going like immediately into a firm has been that we still think it's important to get licensed through NCIDQ, like, but you know, usually you would work at a firm, you get your hours, they sign it off, you're good to go take your test. But since we don't have anyone who's working over us, we had to go out and find a sponsor, someone who is NCIDQ certified, so that we could count our hours to go through and take the test. So that was a really big, you know, kind of decision on, you know, how we were going to do this, if we still wanted to be certified or not.
So we just want to go over the tips of opening business, and we're more than happy to answer any of you guys' questions. Well-written business plan, well-written operation agreement. That's your agreement between your partnership of when things go wrong, what's going to happen. The why, you really want to tap on that core of when you create a business, is to find why you do this business. Successful, sustainable business create from within a sense of purpose.
Another big thing is we've both, said that we have a secondary source of income. If like you're unable to support yourself during this, like it's not going to be successful at all. And I think both of us not only have benefited like financially from having that secondary source of income, but like having like networking by, working in a place that like she can pull customers from. And I get a lot of advice from the interior designer that I work with. So both of those have been very helpful. Definitely having a bunch of different talents has been super helpful. Like I know the things that I'm good at, like I know the things that Phi's good at. And when I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore, Phi, you do it. And let me take that from you because I can do that as well.
Accountant again, and then keeping your finance tidy, continuous improvement, always on a mindset that this is not a sprint. You're not getting to a goal and done. It's a continuous marathon that you just have to keep improving your business. Leadership is a really big one. Even if you're not going to go and open your business, you're going to work with someone as a team. Having a good practice of leadership is a really good thing.
Therapy, like it sounds cliche and like, like stereotypical or whatever, but like it helps so much to like, check in on those emotions and stuff like that, and really regulating and working on, yourself and understanding you and the people around you while you're doing, certain things that you're doing.
Entering competition, good way of money, getting recognition, win-win.
These are like some classes that we thought would be good, like, or that we took and think, if you wanted to start your business, you should definitely take. Marketing was a huge one, really learning why you do that and what makes good marketing, what makes bad marketing. Accounting and finance, it's good to have that base layer that you can understand. Of course, you still say get an accountant, but understanding that is integral. And then taking entrepreneurship classes as well would be super, super helpful. Our other thing is to remember, like it sounds cliche again, but like to be your authentic self. There are people that, you can try and be exactly like somebody else, but that's not going to be sustainable. And doing your business your way, your style your way is what's going to come across to people, and your personality and things like that are really what's going to sell you and make you unique and different.
And thank you again for staying with us. I know we go all the time. These are QR code to our online business card, and those business card can click to our LinkedIn. So please feel free to go through that, and those are our email as well that you can reach out, and our phone number that you're welcome to text anytime. We are more than happy to help anyone.
Of course. Yes.
Keep going.
Fabulous. All right. Well, we are just about at time. So thank you very much again to Amelia, Phi, and Tara, and Lindsay for spending your Friday evening with us and taking the time to create presentations and share with us. I know all four of them, and as well as our team, please reach out, please connect with us. Something I recently told a student this week was, I always heard the word networking in college, networking, build your network. And of course we all use it now. But I realized that just means just talk to people, have conversations, reach out. It's just a fancy word for that. So if that is intimidating to you, just think of it as that, having coffee, having dinner, having drinks. So.
And I just want to add to that, Emily, and that all of us in this room, the power of network is it's local, but it's also global. I mean, the ability to get on LinkedIn and add someone or connect with someone or reach out, like seriously, and you'll just, I think the more in your career, the more you know one person, you know someone else, they know, so it will just grow organically. So take advantage of all of these kind of seed starters that you get from the people on this committee. We'll join back here just about after 5:30, and we'll jump into portfolio. So take a break, use the bathroom, stretch, grab a drink, and head back here in about 5 minutes, and we'll go from there.
kick off the portfolio part of this session, and I'm going to just jump in as the moderator of this section of our overall Elevate program. So really quickly, my name is Sandra Jakubowski. I'm one of the directors in the student affairs team, and I also started out in the interior design world and then took a change in path and went to furniture. So I work with Pacific WRO, which is a Miller Knoll dealership. And I've loved being a part of this team and learning so much about students and being able to give back to students as well. So I just want to kick it off. We have two awesome speakers here today, Sarah Schmidt, who has her own company and her own awesome creative path, and Michelle Northfield, who's with Gensler in Seattle. And also has a great creative path. And if whether you're a senior or whether you're a freshman and you've never even thought about what your portfolio is, or you're beyond even me, the portfolio is a never-ending process. You're always evolving and changing it. So there's just really great tips and tricks that you can learn along the way, whether this is your first time creating it or you're evolving it. So I'm going to pass this off to Michelle first and then to Sarah after. We're going to do about 15 minutes for each, just to kind of give your guys' background and intro and then some tips and tricks. And then for the second half, we'll open it up for Q&A, and we'll also be monitoring the chat same as we did last round. So if you guys want to just throw questions in the chat as we're going, we'll kind of pick it up as Sarah and Michelle wrap up, and we'll take it from there. So Michelle, take it away.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for the intro. Let me share my screen. Just let me know once you can see that.
We can see it.
Okay, sweet. Love it when technology cooperates. Okay, well, I'll get started. I'm Michelle, first of all. I'm going to start with a story today. So in 2016, I went to University of Oregon. I was the third year, and I went to the career fair. It was like a really busy day. I feel like the career fairs always fall like right in the middle of midterms. And I was like, I should have spent more time on my portfolio. I don't know if I have enough resumes. I'm like running between classes. I'll just stop by. I didn't really prepare for it very well. I really focused just on my portfolio and just on my like print materials. And I went there hoping that I'd get at least a couple business cards. And so I talked to a recruiter. The company shall remain anonymous. And I said, introduce myself. I'm a third year interior architecture undergrad. And this recruiter said, nice to meet you. Are you interested in our firm? It was going well. And then I had the audacity to ask, what kind of projects does your firm do? And they literally said verbatim, come back next year when you're more prepared. And it was devastating. I was already in a fragile state because, again, midterms, so many deadlines, everything is just, it was all like coming to this one head. And then this just kind of broke me. I left. I was like, screw this. I'm not here for this. This is not the vibe. Like, I can't deal with this today. So next year I come back, it's 2017. I'm about to graduate. Well, I'm a year from graduating. And I was like, this is my one shot. I really want an internship. I did a lot of research. I prepared exactly what I wanted to say to each person from each firm that I was interested in. I had clear goals. I had my portfolio, my resume, and everything that I did the year before, but I just prepared a little bit more. And it worked. I got an internship with JPC Architects. I met a recruiter there. She was great. We had a great conversation. I knew exactly what to talk about. I had specific reasons why I really liked their firm. And they took a chance on me, which was awesome. And then all the stuff that happened after that, before that I studied abroad, did a furniture studio, which was great, had my internship at JPC. I graduated. I started working at MG2, which actually I came back to their career fair in 2018, right before I graduated with JPC, recruiting for JPC, stopped by the MG2 booth, connected with an old an old student friend, and then ended up working there. Got recruited to work at Gensler from someone that I worked with at MG2, and it kind of just all flowed, and here I am today. So all that's to say that your portfolio is really only one piece of the puzzle. It's not the make or break. You know, it might set you back if it's not complete, or, you know, it's not your best work, but really it's the whole package. But today we're talking about portfolios. So just with that context, we'll move forward. So I'm going to talk about 4 different things. One is portfolio, just like 101. I know there's a big range of attendees at this call, so just getting over the basics, going through kind of the hiring process and what that looks like and where portfolios kind of fit into that, red flags, and then some green flags. So portfolio 101, basically everything that needs to be in your portfolio is contact information, like a mini resume. This is kind of a personal preference, but I like to have a little bit of context when I'm reviewing portfolios, because you're not always reviewing the entire application with the portfolios. And for context, I have helped lead the intern program at both Gensler and MG2, reviewed lots of portfolios, thousands probably at this point. So I feel like kind of an expert, but again, there's always room to improve. And then third, most importantly, projects. Well, they're all important, but projects. Most of the online submissions for positions these days, especially like internships, where you have to streamline a bunch of applications and send it to professionals, is through a PDF. So I know there's lots of different ways that you can do a portfolio, but I recommend personally to make a PDF, because that's pretty universal. It's really easy to send. It's really easy to print. It's easy for people to view, straightforward. And then you can push that content from the PDF to LinkedIn. You can publish it to Issue. You can host the same content on Squarespace. Really, anything that you put in a PDF, you can push to other channels. It's just kind of the root of all portfolios, in my experience and opinion. Also, disclaimer, this is my experience and my opinion. So I know that there's a lot of different ways to go about this. This is just something that I've kind of learned over the years. So the typical process that I've seen with hiring is typically you have an introduction, whether or not that's in person, at a career fair, a mutual friend, a coworker, someone you went to school with, through a reference. That's great. That's how I've gotten most of my jobs, or like an online job posting. And then if you make it through kind of the filtering of the basic things, oftentimes they'll have an algorithm that actually sorts through portfolios and resumes and weeds out people that just aren't qualified, or it's not a good fit. And then you go to the resume and portfolio review stage. And that's where, we're talking about, again, it's this minor slice in this giant pie, doing a portfolio page turn. Really, professionals are looking at portfolios, I kid you not, 5 seconds to 5 minutes. I typically don't go over 5 minutes. I usually land more in the 30-second range. I've, again, done this a lot, so I can kind of flip through and know pretty quickly whether or not it's going to be a good fit. And this goes particularly for like first entry-level roles and then internships. It's a little bit different once you get into the nuances of the professional portfolios, and that it's a whole different topic of conversation. But for this specific scenario, we're talking about interns and kind of entry-level positions. If the page turn is successful and I spend at least 5 minutes, sometimes I'll spend longer, I guess. But usually it's going to like the LinkedIn or website. It's really nice if you have kind of like a circular clickable loop, so that, your LinkedIn is listed on your portfolio or your website. And then I can go to your website, which is also linked back to your LinkedIn or your email, and just kind of completing that circle. And then oftentimes if I'm reviewing with another, a committee or a group of people who are going through these resumes, recruiters, I'll send the successful ones to colleagues, and then we kind of go to the next stage. And then interviews. So there we'll judge like storytelling ability, how you take your portfolio and then expand upon it, answering our questions, kind of judging the conversation flow, and then also very important, what questions you have for us. And definitely have questions in interviews. That is like such a deal breaker. There's also other factors. So these are sometimes totally out of your control. The state of the market being one of them. It's a very timely conversation because there's sadly lots of like layoffs and hardship finding jobs right now. And so the state of the market is a big factor. It might not be you, it might just be the market. Available positions, maybe it's 100 applicants applying for one position and you just never know, who might be the best fit. References. So like if you know someone who works for the firm, if they refer you, that's a huge bonus. And oftentimes one of the most important things that I look for is if someone I know and trust and have worked with has worked with this person and enjoys them. And experience required. So again, if it's an entry-level position, we don't expect you to have job experience, but it is a huge leg up if you have some experience. Goal alignment. So, whether or not your goals fit with the firm's goals and vice versa. And then also how you correspond on email. Are you available? Are you professional? Just kind of the basics there. Okay, we're going on to red flags. Red flags to me can fall into kind of three categories. One is like general file. So nothing to do with the content. The first two things have nothing to do with the content of like your actual projects. They're just kind of baselines, is the file, layout, and then lastly, content. So first, with the file, you got to make sure your files are accessible. If we get a link and it's broken or it's password protected and you're sending it out to be reviewed, we can't move forward. Too large. If it's a giant PDF that is only downloadable via like some scary link, try to compress your files as much as possible, but also don't, on the flip side, make sure they're not too low quality. If they have pixelated images, it's really hard to read. That's a red flag. Too few projects. I like to say at least 3, because that gives you a good idea of, they're paring things down. It's not that they don't have any projects. Too many pages. I once received a portfolio that was 89 pages. And it was an immediate no from me. Atypical formats, some people actually print, I know it's hard to believe, but some people print portfolios to review them. Atypical formats are kind of weird if they're like really weird, like page sizes and you get like scaling issues and all of that. A good format is like, a screen, like 16 by 9. I should know this, but 11 by 17, 8.5 by 11, the usuals. No contact information. You'd be surprised. Some people don't include contact information on their portfolios. At the end, you're like, what do I do? And then file name. This is a real file name that was that I've reviewed, which shall remain anonymous because you can't tell from the PDF name. But though we love a brown and cream aesthetic, just stick with last, first, and interior design portfolio. We do love a brown and cream aesthetic. Layout wise, font, very important. There are certain fonts that are not to be used in portfolios because of people's strong feelings against them. But if you don't, reach out and I can explain it. No judgment. You got to learn it somewhere. Spelling and grammar, that's huge. Margins, if you don't have any, if they're not consistent, it's really kind of, it's just like in the back of your mind, things that catch your eye, and you don't want anything to catch people's eye in a bad way. And so just overall, visual weight of things, making sure that the biggest and boldest thing on your page is the most important, or kind of relays a story. You know, you're being intentional with everything you put on the page, just general graphic composition, and then overpowering branding. This one's a little controversial because it's really great to have a very clear sense of personal branding, but as soon as it overpowers your work, we get into kind of scary territory. And lastly, we have the actual content. So again, so many things you can do that have nothing to do with your project. So if you're not proud, I know sometimes it takes a lot to produce these projects in a short period of time in school. And so if you at least do like great layouts and make it accessible and make it clickable and all of these things, really the bar is low. In terms of projects, at least, all the other stuff is equally as important, if not more important. So for context or for content, irrelevant and confusing content, I might have the slide floating somewhere, but there's an image that maybe I'll throw in the chat of just projects that if you're applying for an interior design position, you should probably have an interior design project or two or completely in your portfolio, because that shows that you know what you're applying for, you're interested. If there's something that's kind of confusing about, is this person applying for a landscape architecture position, or kind of what's the background and how does this fit into their goals? That's really important. Projects that you aren't proud of. This is a huge one and something that I don't think is talked about that much. I feel like there's pressure often to put all of your projects into your portfolio. But if you aren't proud of a project, or you don't want to do that project type ever again, don't put it in your portfolio, because someone who's reviewing it might see it and say, oh, they want to do, schools. And turns out that was the worst project you've ever done and you never want to do that again. Don't put it in your portfolio unless it's very clear what you're speaking to and what your goals are moving forward. Just making sure that everything that's in your portfolio is taking up valuable real estate for a reason. Inconsistency in the quality. This is kind of going along the projects you aren't proud of, but it's really hard once you have a great project and maybe not your best project, and trying to judge as a professional whether or not to expect more of one project versus the other. Too much text. I don't read text in portfolios, hardly ever, unless I'm really confused at what's going on, which is also not a great sign. Too many pages per project. Again, this goes with the length. Photos of you. I know I have implicit bias. I know that most people have implicit bias. So if you include a photo, it's really hard to divorce kind of that implicit bias from the outcome. And then last but not least, skill bars and bubbles. So this is the example that we have on the right. This is a real skill bar that I snipped from a portfolio that I was reviewing. And according to this bar chart, and it's really hard because the scale is arbitrary. We understand that you're a student, so your expert or your full bar is so different than what a professional might be. I know these look really cool and they're really fun. And like, I'm pretty sure I did this at some point. So it happens. But I was thinking about this and I was like, honestly, this is where my bar would be. Like if I were to use this bar to evaluate, honestly, my skills, and I use Revit every single day. And I use the Adobe suite almost, at least once a week. And this is where I would put myself. So I would just remove them. There's too much controversy in my opinion, but just keep it in mind and do what you want to do. Okay, green flags. Sorry, I was a lot of red flags, but I feel like it's really important because there's no one right way to do a portfolio, but there are things definitely to avoid and things that, can help guide you into doing what works for you. But first, green flag, and something that when I was compiling this deck, I sent it to my my co-recruiter for intern, the intern program at Gensler. And she said, relevant projects is number one by a mile. Again, relevant projects. If you can show that you can do some of the work, or you're interested in some of the work that we do as a firm, it goes so far. It's like, okay, they can do this. They're interested in this. This is part of their goals. Enough said. Next is conveying your thought process. So showing and not telling. I think this is huge because there's so many people who just put the fancy final renderings and then like maybe a couple of concept diagrams, but it's really hard to know like what happened in the middle. We just really want to know that you can think through things and, you know, convey what problem you started with, how you came up with solutions, how you narrowed down those solutions, and how you move forward into your final, because that's ultimately what we're doing in our jobs. And we know that your students and your skills are developing, so you're not supposed to be like a visualization expert. We just want to know how you can think. That again goes with process work and sketching. We love to see it. Being clear and concise. I think I nailed that one into the ground. Mix of technical and conceptual, that goes with like Revit skills. I know that some of the programs don't teach Revit, which is fine. I'd say for most commercial firms, I would expect to use Revit, and some will understand that they don't always teach it in schools, and they'll give you kind of the fundamentals, but it's really, really helpful to have at least an idea of what's possible and have a little bit of experience. And again, technical plus conceptual, our job is mostly technical. And I mean, in my position, my personal position is mostly technical. And I feel like sometimes it's the conceptual is a little bit overemphasized in portfolios when really it's a blend of the two. Soft skills, talents, hobbies, and a sense of personality. We really want to see who you are. You know, a portfolio is a great way to showcase what you can do, but it's also a great place to show who you are. And so again, in conclusion, your portfolio is only a piece of the puzzle. Your projects are only a piece of the puzzle. So if you don't feel so confident and like you know, your portfolio or your projects are the best they can be, at least try really, really hard to get all of those other details kind of lined up. Because if you can think and if you can learn and if you're excited, you're going to do well. And I hope someone takes a chance on you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Oh my gosh, that was incredible. You hit on so many things. I'm taking notes and there's questions in the chat, but we're going to let Sarah go next, and then we'll kind of pool together for questions at the end. So Sarah, take it over.
All right. Just a second here. Let me share my screen. Get this out of the way. Uh-oh, spinning ball of death. That's not good. Can you guys all see everything? See this?
Yes, we can see the PDF.
Okay,
looks like.
Great.
Yep.
All right, so my name is Sarah, and I am a consultant right now. Currently, I'm working with ZGF Architects on a project, and ZGF actually is where I had my very first job. I went there as an intern, and I was at the U of O in the interior architecture program and decided, you know, I don't know for sure if I want to do this. So I'm just going to graduate and I'm going to get out in the world and figure it out. And luckily I had a portfolio, and ZGF hired me as an interior design intern, and it turned into a 10-year career, which then has turned into all kinds of different things. But now I'm currently a consultant to ZGF, and I call myself an artist and a designer, which is, it was interesting that Lindsay had that kind of issue previously. But I think you can be an artist and a designer, and I like to try to be both. And I work on interiors projects and product design projects. After I worked at ZGF, I worked at Nike for 7 years. And then I went on to be a creative director at a retail experience firm. And really everything that I've done kind of is centered on like color and graphic design or surface design. So just quickly, 2 recent things that I've been working on. So the airport is under construction, as I'm sure you guys all are well aware of. Peter and I worked on this when he was at ZGF. So these are the restrooms. So I designed the graphics, the artwork for the mosaic.
Hey, Sarah.
wall. Yes.
Sarah, sorry, we're not seeing the next slide. I don't know if you just scroll down or is it only me? I only see just the cover.
No, it's the same on my end, Peter.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, I see it. Hang on 1 second here. Let's see what's going on. Resume share. Do you see something?
We see your cover, but I think you have to like go down in the slide. Like if you click that top button there that has the arrow down, I think it'll let you. Oh, there we go. Yep, now we're good. Yeah,
Oh,
we see
okay.
the airport.
Sorry.
Yep.
Okay, let me see. Now if I go. Well,
There we go. Now we're seeing apparel stuff.
Now
So
you're seeing Beyonce. Okay.
yeah.
I don't know. I can't see how to go back. I can only go forward. So we're moving on. So let me see.
I could share too, Sarah, if you want on my end, if that would be more helpful.
Oh no, there we go. Now I can go back. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
And it's funny because when I worked at ZGF, I was the techie one. That was many years ago. Anyway, so I recently completed these pieces at the Portland airport. So this is a big woven wood wall. The idea for the whole airport really, and especially this project, is about Oregon craft. So it was really important to me to use local Oregon white oak. And we kind of created this woven pattern that was inspired by basketry. And then we left some spots in this kind of like black and white area and these other little triangular textures were left for an additional artist to come in. So it was a real collaborative project, super fun. And then these are the washroom entries or bathroom entries. These are all 1x1 tile that was handmade here in Portland by Pratt & Larson. And the story of these is all of our kind of local iconic flora and fauna. So the roses, the ferns, and there's a handful more coming. And then another project I worked on this year was color design for Beyonce's line Ivy Park. So I kind of have worn, throughout my career, I've done a lot of different design stuff, but really that could kind of go back and forth between apparel color and graphics and interior design and graphics related to interior design. So I was told when I was in school and kind of not sure what I wanted to do with my life, one of my teachers said, follow your bliss. And I thought, I think I'm finally learning how to do that, but it took a lot of time to get there. And that's kind of been my strategy. I just try to go where I think I'm going to really enjoy it. And then usually the work shows that it's, whoever's working on it is enjoying it. So anyway, that's a miniature little portfolio from me. But we're talking about what makes a good portfolio in general. I think this is otherwise known as one of our most difficult design projects. So I think that Michelle had so many great points, and I've been on her end too, where I've reviewed and I've had to submit them and I've had to review them. I think, the big question is, do I do this as a PDF or do I do it digitally, like on a website? But I do both. And I think that in today's day and age, you kind of have to have both, even if it's just some sort of simple web presence. It can even be like an Instagram account potentially. But I think it's nice to have one big PDF that you can kind of pull apart and evolve as needed, and then also have a simple web presence. So I'm just going to give you guys 5 tips that, I mean, I think like Michelle went through so many fabulous tips, but I'm trying to kind of distill down like maybe my top 5. So I think tip 1 is have case studies. So have like 3 or 4 of your best projects. And like she said too, like don't show anything that you don't ever want to do again. Only show things that you're really proud of, and then go deep-ish on the process and the outcome. You don't have to show everything though, and don't show everything. So you want to keep it simple. And then make your portfolio flexible and directed. So again, I think Michelle gave a great example when when she's receiving portfolios for Gensler, they want to make sure that what they're receiving is relevant to Gensler. So for me, I have all this weird background work, and it doesn't make sense necessarily for me to show a hospital project I worked on if I'm going to apply for a footwear color designer. So it's what I like to do is I have multiple portfolios, and ideally I would like to have one big PDF that I can kind of cut and paste as needed. So I can have like a tight portfolio around graphic design, or a tight portfolio around hospitals. That being said, having one massive portfolio is great, but it's important that you're so you want to make sure that you have it's okay to show. For me, I think that what I've experienced for instance, when I applied at Nike, they really liked that I had an interior design background, even though I was going into apparel color design. It was just kind of a strange, it made sense to them. And I was also designing print stuff on the side. And, I think I was including some of my artwork in my portfolio, but I tried to kind of paint a picture of the type of thinker and the type of maker that I am that would be relevant to them. So I think it's good to show a variety of talents and skills that you have, but just keep it simple and try to keep it focused. And then I think it's also really important to show what makes your portfolio and you unique. For example, like when I worked at Nike, we would get these beautiful photographs at the end of a project, and then people would just put all the same photographs in their portfolios. And it's like, wait a minute, who did what here? And so I think that it's really important that you show people what you did on the project and that you credit your team. So show your sketches, show your thinking, show what you did, and then note the rest of the team. I think that shows that you're a collaborative team player, and that you're, not an egomaniac. People are going to like you better if you show that you get along with others and that you really enjoy working with other people. So I think it's important to credit your team. And then probably the most important thing of all, and this is something that I struggle with. I've been a designer for over 20 years, and I still struggle with it. But you've got to edit. Kiss it, as they say. Keep it simple. So the stronger, I think your work will be so much stronger if you edit it and just make sure every page is designed. The portfolio is a design project too. So think of that as you're putting that together. So I think that's it. If you guys want to, feel free to hit me up anytime. I'm always happy to connect with anyone. This is my Instagram or my website. You guys can look at that, and it has my email on it. But I think that's
so helpful, both of you. Thank you, Sarah and Michelle, for your time this evening. We really appreciate all the content that you shared and your insights. I know that I didn't get to all the questions, but if you have specific questions and you want to reach out to these women or any of us, feel free. I think some emails have gone throughout, so feel free to ask us those questions as well. We're part of your network and we want to be here for you also. Peter put in the chat the link for tomorrow's session. If you haven't signed up, the Eventbrite is there. There's 2 sessions. One is around contractor insight, so really understanding and bridging the gap between what you design and what you build. And the other one is around kind of salaries and compensation and understanding, like, how do you ask for that first salary when you're going into an interview? What does that look like and what to expect? What are the benefits and things that are out there? So super informative and will be another really great place to ask questions. So Peter, anything else?
No, that was perfect. Thank you all. It's wonderful to be with you and have a